Alright, this is Weapon X Reacts and we're back with another video, and this is going to be a review of Prisoners, which is a film directed by Denis Villeneuve, and to me, this is honestly one of the darkest movies that I have ever seen in my life, as it was just so well acted and directed. And not just that, but this is a film that I totally recommend that you should go check out once in your life, as it is going to be an experience that you will never forget. But I will warn you that this film deals with subject matter that can be extremely disturbing and hard to watch all at the same time. But still, this is an amazing film that deserves a lot more attention, especially nowadays. And I am just going to let you know that there will be a lot of spoilers in this review. I am going to break down the plot of this film. So, when the police take time to find Kelly Dover's daughter and her friend, he decides to go on a search himself until his desperation leads him closer to finding the truth, but also jeopardizes his own life. If there was one thing that I really liked about this film, is the way in how it does such a great job at telling a story that is deeply compelling. And while it may look simple at times, this is a very well written and complex movie that will stay with you long after it's over. And to me, one of the most interesting things about this film is the fact that it is so much more than just a crime thriller, but a powerful and haunting study on grief and the dark side of human nature as a whole. And not just that, but I thought some of the acting performances were really well done, especially from Hugh Jackman as Keller Dover. And to me, this is honestly one of his best performances, as he does such a great job at portraying his character as someone who is deeply flawed, but compelling all at the same time. And when we first see his character in the opening scene of the film, it immediately starts off with him reciting the Lord's Prayer, while his son is trying to kill a deer right in the middle of a forest. But as the scene goes on, it quickly transitions into a shot of him deciding to give his son a lecture on the nature of survival as they drive all the way back home for Thanksgiving. And this is where you start to realize that this is the scene of where he starts to lose his daughter when she was just playing on the RV with her friend until they get kidnapped. And to me, I thought that this was a perfect introduction into who he really is as a person. And not just that, but it perfectly sets up everything for the film that you are about to see. And I am not going to lie to you right now. Out of all of the movies that I have seen in my life, this is definitely up there as being one of the most disturbing movies in the history of cinema, as it does such a great job at showing the dark side hidden within our modern society. And you can really see that through Keller Dover's character arc in this film. One of the most interesting things about him as a character is the way and how he tries to do everything that he can in order to find his daughter, even if it means that he will need to kill the person who kidnapped her in the first place. But despite the fact that he knows that it won't bring any peace to his life, you can really see that he is trying to become a better person through his desire to protect his family no matter what. And to me, it really adds a lot to the fact that he is a physical manifestation of a man who is deeply consumed by his own personal hell and struggles within himself. And not just that, but it is honestly one of the main reasons on why he is such a well written and deeply complex character. And you can really see that from Hugh Jackman's powerful performance in this film. And I am not going to lie to you right now. He deserves a lot of praise for his performance in this film, as it was just that fucking good. And not just that, but this is a pretty realistic depiction of a father who will do whatever it takes in order to protect his family, even if it means that he will need to make sacrifices. Honestly, you just don't get movies like this from Hollywood anymore. If there was one thing that I really liked about Hugh Jackman's performance, is the way and how he brought so much depth and complexity into his character. And to me, it's a perfect example of the fact that he is honestly one of the greatest actors working in Hollywood today, as he does such a great job at playing characters who are deeply complex. And you can really see that from his performance in this film. And I totally recommend that you should go check out some of his other roles like The Prestige and The Fountain, for example, as they are just absolute masterpieces that we just don't get from modern Hollywood anymore. And overall, Killalover is such a well written and deeply complex character, and Hugh Jackman honestly makes this film better than it already is. And I am not going to lie to you right now. This is definitely up there as being one of the most emotionally powerful performances in the history of cinema, as he fits perfectly with the film's themes of fatherhood and the decay of morality in modern society. Not just that, but it made me realize that he can do so much more than just playing Wolverine. I thought Jake Gyllenhaal did such an amazing job playing Detective Loki, even if he wasn't in the film that much. And to me, one of the most interesting things about him as a character is the way and how he tries to do everything that he can in order to help Killalover and his family out with his situation, even if it means he may lose his own sense of reality. But if there was one thing that I really liked about Jake Gyllenhaal's performance, is the way and how he brought so much depth and humanity into the role, as it really made him someone who you can actually care about and more than just a generic side character. And you can really see that from his desperation in wanting to become the hero of his own story. which is what he does at the end of the film. And overall, this is honestly one of Jake Gyllenhaal's best performances, as it really goes to show you that he is one of the best actors working in Hollywood today. And it wasn't just him and Hugh Jackman that gave great performances, but I thought the supporting cast did a pretty good job playing their characters, even if they weren't in the film that much. Especially from Terrence Howard as Franklin Birch, Viola Davis as Nancy Birch, and David Dastmalchian as Bob Taylor. And I am not going to lie to you right now. This is honestly some of the best acting that you will ever get from a film like this. I thought Denis Villeneuve's direction of the film was just so well done, as it's a perfect example of the fact that he is honestly one of the greatest directors working in Hollywood today. And you can really see that from how he does such a great job at telling a deeply compelling but disturbing story about morality and how it slowly tears us apart from the inside out. And not just that, but it really goes to show you that he is just the absolute best when it comes to directing movies that are both entertaining but thought-provoking all at the same time. And I am not going to light it right now. We need more films just like this, especially when we are living in an age of where every film that comes out nowadays is nothing more but generic and soulless slop that nobody asked for. And you know what's the biggest problem affecting Hollywood right now is the fact that they are hiring writers who care more about pushing identity politics above telling a good story. Because you want to know why we go to movies in the first place? Is to just be entertained. And it doesn't get more simple than that. And if they can't realize that, then just look at the fact that every film that is coming out nowadays is nothing more but a box office flop. And you know what? They did it to themselves. And I just want to say this. Denis Villeneuve deserves a lot of praise for his direction of this film, as he made an absolute masterpiece that will stay with you long after it's over. And not just that, but this was the film that made him a successful director in Hollywood. And I totally recommend that you should go check out some of his other films like Blade Runner 2049, Sicario, the Dune trilogy, and many more, as they are just absolute masterpieces that we just don't get anymore. The cinematography is honestly one of the main reasons on why this film is so fucking good. But if there was one thing that I really liked about it, is how it gives the film a very gritty but disturbing feel to every scene that takes place. And not just that, but I thought the lighting in this movie was just so well done, as it's all done in a way to reflect the film's themes of moral ambiguity and the mental state from the two main characters throughout the film. And overall, This is honestly some of the best cinematography that I have ever seen in a film like this, as it fits perfectly with the film's themes and its story. And I just want to say that this is the same cinematographer who worked with Denis Villeneuve on a lot of his films. And to me, this is honestly some of his best work, as it really goes to show you that Roger Deakins is still one of the greatest cinematographers working in Hollywood today. And you can really see that from this film right here. And it's actually amazing that he won the Oscar for Best Cinematography for 1917 and Blade Runner 2049. As it really goes to show you that this guy is just the absolute master when it comes to experimenting with light and color. And he deserves a lot of praise for his films, as he can bring so much to a film with just light and color. And this film is a perfect fucking example of that. I thought the symbolism of trees in this movie was just so well done, as it's all done in a way to reflect the decay of modern society and the psychological maze that the main characters have to go through. And not just that, but it is honestly one of the main reasons on White Prisoners is just an absolute masterpiece and one of the most powerful films that has ever been made. If you want a film with great writing, great acting, great directing, go watch this film, because you are not gonna get another film like this ever again. I thought Paul Dano did such an amazing job playing Alex Jones, despite the fact that he was only in the film for a couple of scenes. And if there was one thing that I really liked about his performance, is the way and how he brought so much depth into the role, as it really made Alex Jones so much more than just a side character, but a victim of his own environment. And overall, this is honestly one of Paul Dano's best performances, as it really goes to show you that he can do such a great job at playing characters who are deeply flawed, but just so complex all at the same time. And not just that, but I totally recommend that you should go check out some of his other roles like Little Miss Sunshine and There Will Be Blood, as they are just absolute masterpieces that we just don't get from modern Hollywood anymore. And this goes the same way, especially when it comes to the actress who played his mother, as she gave a fucking terrifying performance, despite the fact that she wasn't in the film that much. I thought the scene on where Detective Loki has a mental breakdown in the police station is honestly one of the most powerful scenes that I have ever seen in a film like this, as it was just so well acted and directed. So it immediately starts off with him being told that the case is finally over by Captain Richard O'Malley. But as the scene goes on, We see a shot of him walking all the way back to his desk and immediately decides to smash his keyboard onto the table until he finally realizes that he has one more chance in order to save Killadaver's daughter and solve the case. And I just want to say that the acting from Jake Gyllenhaal in this scene is honestly some of the best acting that I have ever seen in a film like this. As you can really feel his desperation in wanting to do whatever it takes in order to find Killadaver's daughter. And not just that, but this is a pretty realistic depiction of a man who is finally coming to terms with himself and his own reality. And while he wasn't the main character of the film, Detective Loki is honestly one of the main reasons on why this film is so fucking good. And this goes the same way, especially when it comes to Jake Gyllenhaal's performance and the fact that he hasn't won an Oscar for either of his films is a perfect example of why Academy Awards don't fucking matter anymore. Just look at Nightcrawler, for example, as that is one of the greatest performances of all time, and he was snubbed for it. Fuck the Oscars. As they don't care about talent. It's more about what sticks. I thought the twist in this film was just so well done, as it fits perfectly with everything that this whole movie is about. And you can really see that from how it's revealed that it wasn't Alex Jones who kidnapped Killadaver's daughter, but it was his mother. And to me, one of the most interesting things about all of this is the fact that she was involved in a cult who tries to do everything that they can in order to kidnap as many children as possible and pull them away from their families and God. And to me, it is honestly one of the main reasons on why this film is just so fucking good, as it does such a great job at dealing with dark subject matter, but in a way that is just so well written. And not just that, but it makes me realize that we just don't get movies like this anymore. As this film was so much more than just a crime drama, but a haunting study of our society and who we are when we break. This is the rating that this film got on Rotten Tomatoes. So 81% from the critics and 87% from the audience. And I am going to read out the reviews right now. So for the first one, Prisoners has an emotional complexity and a sense of dread that makes for absorbing and disturbing viewing. For the second one, an absorbing, skillfully made drama. For the third one, the tense thriller that put its director on the map. For the fourth one, while the resolution is close to being predictable, the movie's strong suit is something else. The process, the content, and the journey are profoundly immersive. And that goes the same way for the cinematography too. Like, you're pushed into this environment that feels like it lost all meaning. And you can really thank that to Roger Deakins. For the fifth one, filmed like a horror film and with a mood to match, Prisoners is haunting and will stick with you. And that is something I most definitely agree with. But as I read these reviews, it makes me realize that this film is worth all the praise that it is getting from critics and audiences. And it really goes to show you that this is just one of those films that are most definitely worth your time, as it will stay with you long after it's over. And not just that, but it is so much better than the woke dog shit that we get from modern Hollywood, especially nowadays. Also, I thought the soundtrack by Johan Johansson was just so well done, as it fits perfectly with the tones, haunting atmosphere, and environment. And I am going to show you an example of it right now. Also, rest in peace. Because this guy, he was one of the greatest composers of all time. And this film is a perfect example of it, as it's haunting, it's disturbing, and it captures society. Alright, let's go. There's just something about this film that is just so fucking hauntingly beautiful in a way. Like, really. This is some of the best writing that I have ever seen in a film. Because everything from the twist to the acting, everything just fucking works. And Hugh Jackman, though, this guy proved that he can do more than just playing as Wolverine, but he can play characters with depth. That goes the same way with Jake Gyllenhaal too. These two actors honestly makes this film the masterpiece that it is today. And I just want to say that the scene on where Bob Taylor shoots himself, it's a very disturbing but depressing scene, as it shows that he was a victim of his own environment the same way as Alex Jones. And David Dastmalchian, he did a great job playing that character. This movie ain't just disturbing, it's depressing. It's atmospheric. It's nihilistic. But despite its nihilistic tone, there's a sense of hope, and you can see that in the ending. But you just have to interpret it yourself. Like, did Kaladover get out of the cave? Is the case really over? That's what the film makes you think about. And all of these things are done so fucking well. When I first watched this film, I was like, fuck me, I've just seen something that I've never seen before. And that's this movie. Like, that's just one thing I like about Denis Villeneuve as a director. Like, he makes epics. But he does them in a way that is just so well written, like, they speak to you in a way. They make you think about life. You can see that in Blade Runner 2049, which is science fiction at its most philosophical and existential. And Ryan Gosling, he did a great job in that movie. Like, this guy casts his actors and he brings out the best performances out of them. Like, you can see that with Hugh Jackman in this film. Like, this film made him a Hollywood legend. And it's worth that. Like, if you really think about it for a bit, this movie is every parent's worst nightmare, as it's about child trafficking. You'll know when you watch the film. This movie shows what happens when a father is pushed to his limits, what he'll do to protect his children. This movie does a good job at showing fatherhood. Because nowadays, Hollywood portrays fathers in a bad way. But this one portrays it in a positive way. A more realistic kind of way. I really appreciate that from Denis Villeneuve. I am going to explain the ending of this film. So, after killing Holly Jones and saving Kaladover's daughter, we see a shot of Detective Loki sitting on a hospital bed until Anna's family comes over to thank him for everything that he did. And then after that, the scene quickly transitions into a shot of him trying to find Keledover in the pit. But just as he is able to do any of that, he hears the sound of someone blowing an emergency whistle, realizing that Keledover is still alive and will be saved in the process. And to me, I thought that this was a perfect introduction to a film like this, as it really shows that Detective Loki has finally solved the case and saved Keledover's daughter. And not just that, but this ending fits perfectly with everything that this whole movie is about: the decay of morality in modern society. I am going to show you the trailers of this film, starting with the first one. Well, I get past copyright though, since this film is owned by Warner Brothers. This is a good movie though. For a Hollywood film, this was actually pretty good. Hugh Jackman's acting in that scene of where he talks to Detective Loki about why he is so desperate and wanting to find his daughter is like really good acting. Hugh Jackman does such a great job of playing a man who's desperate. Now for the second one. Every scene in this movie is intense, especially in that scene of where it goes, "Where's my daughter?" to Alex Jones, and he tortures him. In conclusion, this film was just an absolute masterpiece of cinema, as it does such an amazing job at portraying a man who is desperate in wanting to come to terms with himself and his own reality. And not just that, but it makes me realize that we just don't get movies like this from Hollywood anymore. Especially when we are living in an age of where every film that comes out nowadays is either a sequel or remake or spin-off or prequel of something that already came out before. And if there is anything else that I want to say about this film, is go fucking watch it, as it's just an absolute masterpiece when it comes to the writing, acting, directing, and cinematography. And not just that, but you could really tell that this film was made by a filmmaker who actually gave a shit about the story that he wanted to tell. And he did it perfectly. And I am just going to let you know that the next films that I'm going to be reviewing is Demolition by Jean-Marc Vallée and Knight of Cups, directed by Terrence Malick. So go get ready for those. And also, anyway, that's all I got for today. Go away now. And always remember, strike back like a weapon against wokeness. And keep supporting films like this, because we need them more than ever before. Okay, see you in the next one.